Thank you. Yeah, it's good to make some noise. It's a signifier of life, encouragement, and participation in sound, which is really just a wave. It moves through bodies, through land and sea. It's a very powerful force. So it's very encouraging, and I used to hate when people clapped. It was kind of loud and cacophonous and annoying. I'd wear these like noise-canceling earphones everywhere, shut out the world. But that's horrible, don't do that. I think the best case scenario is that you're born into a world in which you are being positively reinforced. You can, even within the womb, they say the unborn child, as it's moving through the birth canal, can hear the encouraging words of the doctor or the midwife. Bear down, push, you're doing great, keep going. And all that's working into the psychology of the child, hopefully. And then there you are, life. Kicking and screaming, of course, but... And then you remember back when you had your first diaper changed, all the encouragement you received from your mother or your father for having brought into the diaper, dispensed of... That's life, you know. I know it's a little gross to talk about feces, but it's a sign of life. And remember how there's like the encouragement words you get when you fill your diaper? Good job! You're like, yeah, you did it. You remember that. I know you probably think you don't remember it, but you remember those encouraging words. Okay, maybe you remember in elementary school, you know, you get back the test or whatever, and there's all those gold stars all over. You remember that? Encouraging gold stars. Those are very dear to you. I remember when you were taking oboe lessons, and your teacher was this bitchy widow who was an alcoholic. She soaked her oboe reeds in gin, and then you would play the sort of Marcello or Bach concerto, and she would say, oh, intonation is terrible, but your retardation of the slurred note at the end was perfect. And that's all you remember from her, that one encouraging thing that she said. And that kept you on that stupid double reed instrument for 10 years. It's important. You go to high school, you take the SATs, you don't do so well, so then you take all those practice tests. You go after school, so you can take more practice tests, and then finally you get that good score, and you can get to that good college, and then you major in biology or humanities, philosophy, I don't know what you majored in, but all the encouraging words you receive from your faculty. Remember you write your dissertation on the cultural disambiguation of the ampersand in North Korea circa 1914. Some obscure academic, scholastic bullshit that no one's ever gonna read anywhere. But your mentor thinks the world of you and says that was such a beautiful, experimental, semantical, existential survey of linguistic heritage. They just put words together and it's encouraging. You get your Phi Beta Kappa key and you're like, damn it, I made it. You guys know what a Phi Beta Kappa key is? Yeah. I have one. I graduated and I held that key to my heart. But then you go out in the real world, that second-rate marketing job in that cubicle in that Rust Belt town. Your first job, your first car, you saved up a lot of money for that 1989 Honda Accord. And then like 2 months later, you realize it just reeks of cat pee. That's why it was so cheap. And then you fall in love. The person of your dreams. Turns out they're a hoarder. They're on the FBI's most wanted. You get fired from your job. It's so boring because you're playing computer games all day. Then you accidentally cut off your finger on the table saw. And you can't get disability or anything because you don't have a job. So you move in with your parents, you live in the basement. You start playing like first-person shooter games. You just shoot everything that you see. You have that gun, whatever weapon is, you're just shooting at whatever you see. And all those encouraging words that you heard in your childhood are gone. They've receded to the periphery, to the dark matter of space. And the only cheerleader left is that interior monologue within you, that vindictive cheerleader. She's self-hating, and you're like, why did we even try? And you have that little placard by your bed that says, why bother, who cares? That you like cross-stitched yourself because you're just so depressed. But then, last month, I watched this amazing movie that changed my life. It's called Bring It On Again. It's a whole like franchise about cheerleading. The first one stars Kirsten Dunst, I think, or Kirsten Dunst, right? The second one doesn't have anybody you would know. Straight to DVD or whatever. But it's amazing, and we watched it on the bus, and it changed my life. It's in my top 10. It knocked out Showgirls. I know you've all seen it, but quick summary, they go to college cheerleading squad, and it's an amazing team, and they won all the competitions, and it's just preppy girls, and they're so competitive, and they're just like nihilistic, and this new freshman makes the team, and she's so excited, and she's sort of like head cheerleading squad, like captain material, but there's a kind of interpersonal conflict, and she kind of gets kicked off, and she's like, what am I gonna do now? My whole life was cheerleading. And she decides to make an alternative cheerleading squad herself. And she recruits from like the modern dancers, the theater majors, and like the deadbeats, the stoners, like everyone she can. She's like, gathers them all together and creates a second cheerleading squad, and they're gonna compete against the sort of like the A-list preppy cheerleading squad. The problem is they don't have any sports teams to cheer for because they're all taken by them. So they decide they're gonna cheer for croquet. And they do these cheers that are like, you can do it, hit them, swing the mallet to the ball through the thing, and they cheer for golf. I don't remember that cheer. They cheer for foil fencing, which is amazing. So they work really hard, and they cheer for everybody, and then they win the competition, and everyone lives happily ever after. And it was so exciting for me because it made me realize how important it is to hear cheerleaders and what an important part they are in our lives every day. My favorite cheerleader was a junior varsity basketball assistant coach. His name was Bob. We called him Bobber because he just looked like a little bobber. Sidelines every game. He was just jumping up and down. He was so encouraging. And he would just say, hustle, 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 hustle. And then occasionally he would say, look alive. At the time I was like, that's like the least common denominator. We all have pulses here. We're all alive. Didn't make any sense to me. But now I know what he means. More than anything. So I'm gonna look alive right now and play another song.